Welcome to Georgia Highlands College Math 97 and Math 99 video tutorials. In this video segment, we'll be answering the question, how do you solve for a variable contained within a formula? Well, the first thing you're going to do is clear any fractions out, just like you did with rational equations. Then you're going to isolate the variable. So whatever variable you've been asked to solve for, you'll unpack anything else that's around that variable to isolate it. And then finally, you'll check and fix any leading negative terms. And we'll begin to understand that statement a little bit better when we take a look at our example. Let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so you see I have a formula here, S equals C over 1 minus R. And we're asked to solve this particular equation for the variable R. So when we say solve in this case, we're not talking about coming up with a single value. We're just trying to isolate the variable R in this particular formula. So just like you did with rational equations, we want to find the LCD so that we can get rid of the fractions and just be dealing with either a linear equation, a quadratic equation, some other type of equation that doesn't involve rational expressions like we have. So I have two denominators. One has a factor of 1 in it, and that's it. And then I have 1 minus r, which has a factor of 1 minus r. So our LCD is 1 times 1 minus r, which is just 1 minus r. So I'm going to multiply each term in this equation by 1 minus r, the LCD. I'm going to extend my fraction bars here so that I have room to do that. Just as a reminder, this happens in the numerator, 1 minus r, 1 minus r. Also going to come back and put parentheses around that to show that it is a factor. And we get that anything divided by itself is 1 here. So I'm left with 1 minus r times S equals C. So you're probably getting the urge now to do some distribution. And we end up with S minus RS equals C. Now, just as a reminder, our target variable is R. So that's the one we need to solve for. So I'm just going to subtract this S that's hanging out by itself off of the left-hand side. And I'm left on the right now with C minus S. And I have an understood, here I'll write it in, an understood negative 1 being multiplied by R being multiplied by S. So I need to divide off a negative S from both sides. And that negative S takes care of the S and the negative 1. So now I have R equals C minus S over negative S. So I've completed my task of isolating that variable. However, the last step in our process says to check and fix any leading negative terms. So I'll just point out here that I have that negative in the denominator. It's just bad form to keep it like that. So I'll come up over here. And the first thing that I'll do is factor a negative 1 out of both the numerator and the denominator. This is just the equivalent of having positive 1 being multiplied, so it's not changing anything. Notice that both of the terms behind the negative 1 there, once you factor that negative 1, both of those signs change. So now I have negative C plus S. And when I factor out the negative 1 from the denominator, I'm left with s. So I'm just going to rewrite, and those divide out to make 1. So now I have negative c plus s over s. Once again, not good form to have a negative leading term there. By the way, that's just on the c. That's not on the entire expression there. So I'm just going to flip-flop those two terms to make sure you travel the signs. So I end up with s minus c over s. So that is my rearranged formula solving for the variable r. You can do this process with any formula you're given. So what would be the benefit of knowing how to do this? Well, if you encounter a word problem that is asking you to find a particular value that some particular formula that you're using is not already solved for, you can rearrange that formula and solve for the variable so that when you plug in all the other values, you've already solved your word problem or application problem. I hope that this has been helpful for you. If you have any other questions about how to solve for a variable in a formula, make sure to contact your Highlands instructor. Thank you.